What is up? Welcome to another edition of Sactown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back, continuing our top 10 film series. Still going strong. We're finally on the lucky number 2015. So we only have essentially a few more years to go, man. We got 15, 16, 17, and 18. And we are done with our top 10 films, starting back from 1995, moving all the way up to 2020, basically. But we've already done 2020 and 2019, so we don't have to worry about those ones. So, but things are progressing. Things are looking well.
I think after this we should go back to the beginning and do our 11 through 20 for each year.
Yeah.
Another 50 shows. Another 50 shows.
Yeah, I think that sounds like fun. I don't even know if I got top 20 for every year. Some of those years I think I only had like 12, 13 films. So.
Oh, you're a bottom 10 then. Bottom 10.
Yeah, bottom 10. Yeah. Well, that'd be way easier. There's a lot of every year. There's a lot of films that I definitely hate. So that's for sure. So.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about them very long. I just go, "This is terrible. It was boring. Move on to the next film." So. You spend a lot less time talking about the ones you don't. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I guess you could go all day on a film that you hate and rip it to shreds, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, those are the most entertaining reviews to write. Really, are the bad ones.
Yeah.
The movies that you really hate, they're the most fun to write the review because you're just like.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll do something in that realm at some point. Well, I don't know. Well, there's always gonna be some films we're gonna watch that we both don't like, so we'll see what happens.
There's so much negativity on the internet and on YouTube, and worst this and can you believe that? I'd rather focus on the positive personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, we mostly do positive reviews or positive films, but I mean, there's obviously films we're just going to naturally see that we don't like, or whatever the case may be, or maybe even in the top 10 list, there might be some.
Yeah, but sure, I just mean like using the word worst as like clickbait almost. I don't like that generally.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to do a top 10 worst films of the year or anything like that necessarily, but I can't say that I will never do anything in that realm. I don't know. So it's just hard to say. So it would just have to be whatever the topic was interesting. So, but we'll see. Well, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 because we got a lot of films to cover as usual. So, so if this is your first time watching, we're going to do our bottom half, which will be our number 10 through number 6.
The worst movies in our top 10.
The worst movies, the worst movies in our top 10 is what we're going to start off with. But actually, I think before we actually get into that, I totally forgot we have our challenge films, so I totally forgot about this. Right. I still need to bring those slides in real quick. So I just slipped my mind that we actually did those as well. So we'll bring those in.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, it has been. So I have to start with yours actually first, since it'll be the first one that I bring in. So we'll start with our challenge film. So if you don't know how this works, basically when we do our top half of the top 10, so top half of 2014, we basically do a challenge film for each other for 2015. So it'll be a film from 2015 that Jason will challenge me to that I haven't seen, that he has seen, and vice versa. So I challenge him to see a film that I've seen but he hasn't. So the film that I chose for Jason for 2015 was Pitch Perfect 2. So I say without further ado, we get right into it. So I'm going to bring that in. Tell us all about Pitch Perfect 2. Sorry.
Well, I forgot I was going to be talking about it tonight, but thankfully it's not one that requires a whole lot of description. No. And I can definitely say it was not one that I expected to hear from you. I didn't. It doesn't seem like a Kier kind of movie in a lot of ways. I'll just put it that way. But I'm glad I had finally watched the first Pitch Perfect, like maybe a year ago or so. I finally watched the first one, caught up, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I hadn't heard great things about the sequel, but I was interested to watch it, when you challenged me to it, and I ended up really liking it. I think I ended up even liking it more than the first one. At least I gave it a higher rating. I don't know a whole lot about the first one, but I gave this one a higher rating. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was funny. The music was good. The singing and dancing was good. It was and it was genuinely funny too. That was important, like it wasn't just like weak comedy in there.
Right.
Like it was directed by Elizabeth Banks, and she definitely knows her comedy. She's a very funny person, very
Oh,
funny
yeah.
actor, and but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I would definitely watch it again. I liked the characters. It made me laugh. It's got a good feel good climax, and I dug it. So I'm glad you spurred me on to watch it for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like Pitch Perfect 2 a lot. I don't know if I like it better than the first one. I know it's because it's got a lot of music in it, and I don't necessarily mind movies that have a lot of music in it. I usually don't like musicals where they just break out into song and dance for no reason. They break out into a lot of song and dance, but it's for a specific reason because they're like in a singing battle competition or something like that. It's not like they just start like sweeping the steps and they're like, I'm a step sweeper, and everybody just jumps in and starts dancing, and so I don't.
That does happen, though. That does happen. It's not purely the music on the stage in this one, just to point out.
Yeah. But yeah, typically I'm not into that kind of stuff. So when they just break out into song and dance for no particular reason, really. But this one's more about the competition. So I definitely like this one. It's not my top 10 either. It'd probably be like an honorable mention. I don't even know. I have to check my honorable mentions. But I did like that one quite a bit. So like I said, I don't know where it ranks in the first one or second one. I just know I saw the third one, and that one was not very good at all. So I don't.
Yeah, well, now I have to see the third one anyway. But yeah, I've heard not good things about it. So.
Yeah, that one's really, really bad. And there's like 50 people or something like that in that one or something crazy. I don't know. But I think they just threw in the kitchen sink in that one just to go for broke. But I didn't care for that one as much. But this one's good. It's good. So glad you liked it.
I dug it. Yep.
Cool. Well, moving on to my challenge film. Which I saw like a month ago, so I'll have to. Which is The Wolfpack. So The Wolfpack is a documentary film that's basically based off these kids. I think it's like 7 boys and 1 girl. Something like that.
I don't remember. It's been a while for me.
It's a lot of kids, basically. Yeah. So they live in New York. So these kids that live in New York that are homeschooled. And they basically never leave the house. They're, the first part of the film, you don't even see parents really in the film. So I don't want to go too much into the story, but you just see a lot of videotapes and things of that nature. But the kids are basically, like I said, it's like 7 boys and 1 girl, but the girl's not in it as much. It's mostly about the boys, really. And basically, these kids that are like basically they were stuck in the house, kind of growing up, and their overbearing parents were barely never let them out of the house. Like I said, they didn't they didn't go to school. They didn't really interact with any of their kids, and they were pretty much raised that way their entire life. It was like a conscious choice by the parents for whatever reason. You do learn a little bit more about the parents as the film goes on, so I don't want to go too much into details about that because things kind of happen initially. But the skinny on these kids is what they enjoy doing because they're pretty much bored because they're stuck in this small house basically in I don't know, is it even a house? It might even be an apartment. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it's just an apartment, like a high rise, I think even.
What was that?
High rise, I think even.
Yeah, it's like a high rise apartment. Probably not a whole lot of rooms and that kind of stuff. So they're basically kind of stuck in there, and they are so to keep themselves entertained, they basically make like costumes themselves or get material for costumes and that kind of stuff. And they basically recreate movies like, Pulp Fiction, Goodfellas, whatever film that they really enjoy. So they'll have like lines and scripts. They'll put on these costumes and they'll basically replicate the movies. And it's kind of funny. It's definitely fun. And they kind of do it to kind of keep themselves entertained and kind of occupied. So yeah, it's just one of those films that where they show them kind of basically getting into character and coming up with scripts, and they write all the lines down and they kind of replicate it, which is fun. I definitely enjoyed that. I thought that's pretty cool, and it's probably something I could see somebody doing if they're pretty much stuck in the house all day. You got to do something to occupy your time. There's more to the story than that, especially once you start learning about the parents. But that's kind of the general gist of the story without going too much into details, because I don't want to give too much, because when the film first starts, I don't even know if what's going on with the parents, because it's mostly just focused on the kids. So you don't even find out about the parents till a little ways into the film. But yeah, you do find out about the relationship, obviously, primarily with their father growing up and that kind of stuff. So there's more details about the story. But overall, just in general sense, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. I did like it. It is an interesting take, and you kind of feel bad for those kids in a nutshell, though. I mean, like I said, I'm glad that they were able to find a way or an outlet to kind of, make it fun being stuck in, like, I don't know, a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that. I don't know, maybe it was 3 bedrooms, but it was really, really tiny. So you kind of find, it is interesting that they were doing all this stuff and finding about like their schooling and all that other kind of stuff. And then also getting to see kind of like when they finally decide to start, I guess, rebelling a little bit as well. So from having stuck in the house for forever. But yeah, it was an interesting take, decent, very decent documentary. So yeah, overall, definitely enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. So I liked it. It didn't blow me away or anything like that, but I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun and interesting documentary for sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's been a few years since I watched it, but I remember really liking it, and it's a pretty powerful story. They're like I don't remember exactly the deal, but their parents, especially their father, is like maybe a little not mentally well. They basically
I mean he's not
raise the kids as like shut-ins, and they can't leave for anything.
Choice to basically raise these kids without letting them out, and they said that they would say like on some years we would only go out like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Some years they went out like 10 times a year, and then they said like in many years they never went outside the house ever. You know what I mean? So like you got like 7 kids that you basically just never let go out of the house and do anything. Like that's just crazy to me. Like I don't understand like how, especially in a really, really small place. I mean, if you got a giant house, and granted most of it dealing with COVID and that kind of stuff, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a weird. I don't understand how that even works. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you just have to live in it. I mean, it's easy for me to say, but I just kind of feel like I would have been rebelling a lot sooner than whenever these kids started to rebel. You know what I mean? Like, especially the older ones. But yeah, it's an interesting story. They're definitely an interesting family. But I do like I said, that they have the movie outlet that, that's kind of the thing that kept them busy. And apparently their dad was really big into movies because they had like thousands of DVDs. But I guess like I said, you got to do something if you're going to be stuck in the house for your entire life. You know what I mean? So, but what I did notice about the kids is, because they were primarily homeschooled, they were all very articulate. You know what I mean? They all seemed very bright. They all seemed very articulate. They all seemed like they were well educated. So say what you want about it, they definitely didn't seem like other than the social interaction, they definitely seemed like and at least they had each other. It'd be one thing to be homeschooled and never leave the house and it was just you. But when you've got like, 6 other siblings or 7 other siblings or whatever case may be, it makes it maybe a little bit easier, other than it's so cramped and they're all stuck together. And how they were basically treated, those were all generally valid issues for sure. So,
yeah, and I do remember thinking some of their recreations too were pretty good. They had all that
they used, because it didn't.
And the props.
The sense that they have a lot of money. What I mean? Like a lot of money's flowing in. I mean, they're probably getting obviously some sort of assistance, and you do find out like they do have some income coming in from like the homeschooling and that kind of stuff, but you don't. They don't seem like they make a lot of money. Basically, let's put it that way. They don't have a lot of money. So I thought it was interesting that they were able to make these really like realistic looking costumes and things of that nature that they pretty much made themselves for the most part. You know what I mean? They would make like these like guns, realistic looking guns. They actually got in trouble for at one point. They made like these. All these realistic looking outfits and costumes and things of that nature. And most of that stuff, like you said, they just made at home. So I thought that was really interesting. So,
yeah, cool. Yeah, I thought you would like it. It's they got good taste in movies. Like a lot of Tarantino and Scorsese and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get into, now that we're 15 minutes into it, let's get into the real top 10. So
Yeah.
we'll start with your number 10, and I'll go ahead and bring that in for you. And that is going to be Love and Mercy.
Yeah, cool. Love and Mercy is a sort of a biopic of Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. And anybody who knows anything about Brian Wilson, he's had a very interesting life. He's a musical genius, I think, but he's also had a lot of mental illness issues, substance abuse issues. He's had a very interesting life, and he's had kind of a long road back to semi-normalcy. And basically, this movie takes a really unique approach to the biopic.
You're good.
All good?
Yeah. All right. Got a lot of pets around here.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie takes a really unique approach to the biopic format. Because the biopics can be, especially of musicians and like famous people, can be pretty cliched, pretty predictable. In fact, I think Walk Hard is a really good parody of musician biopics. But this one takes a different approach. It has two different actors play Brian Wilson at different ages. Paul Dano plays him as an adolescent, or not adolescent, like when they were famous, when they were, big musicians, And then John Cusack plays him as kind of the older, burnout version of Brian Wilson, who's kind of addled by prescription drugs and kind of held captive almost by his personal physician, played by Paul Giamatti here, who's like super slimy and creepy, which Paul Giamatti is pretty good at generally. But it's a really interesting approach to the biopic because Paul Dano and John Cusack look nothing alike, and the movie doesn't try to hide that, and neither of them really look like Brian Wilson at all either. But somehow it's done in a way that makes you believe it. It's really interesting the way it's told that way. And Elizabeth Banks, speaking of Elizabeth Banks, is in this movie. Really good. I like how she is able to vacillate between really comedic roles and really like serious roles like this one, because it's also, on top of all the other things, it's actually a very good love story. So it's a really interesting movie all around. It is a biopic, but it's an unusual biopic. It's a movie about music. It's a movie about mental illness and substance abuse, and it's a love story. And it does all those things really well, and it's entertaining and well made and well shot. Just a really good movie overall. So yeah, that's my number 10, Love and Mercy.
Cool. I haven't seen it, so obviously I can't comment on it one way or another, whether it's good, bad, or the other. But sounds interesting. And I'm always hit or miss on biopics to begin with. I mean, I guess if they're done well, they're done well. But I don't know, they all have that same sort of story. I mean, this one sounds like maybe a little different, but they all have that same story. The slow rise to fame, the fame, and then the crashing down period, and then the redemption at some point. You know what I mean? They all have that same story. So, like I said, I kind of feel like if you've seen one biopic, you've almost seen all of them in some capacity. So it's almost always the same. There's always some substance abuse problem, or something that nature's at some point in their career, or the crashing down part, and then hopefully some sort of redemption at the end, or they die. So something of that nature. But yeah, I don't know. They all kind of have that same story. So, but who knows? Maybe someday they'll check it out. Who knows? So.
Yeah. This one's not the same old thing. Not the same old thing, because I do hear what you're saying. And even though I like a lot of those, I like Ray a lot. I like Walk the Line a lot. But those are, they were so straight down the middle that it's no surprise that they got parodied in Walk Hard, which I love. I love Walk Hard. So I fully admit that biopics are, they have a lot of problems, but every once in a while, one will come along and do it differently, and this is one of those, I think. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. This is your number 10. Moving on to my number 10. And I always say this one not 100% right. My number 10 is Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah.
So I always say it wrong. Which is basically a story about artificial intelligence. I don't know if everybody's seen it. I don't know how big of a hit it was, but the general skinny is basically about this AI robot that basically can basically talk to you. And so basically what it is this guy works for this company, and he gets an opportunity to basically, I guess, is an intern for like this really rich like tech owner or whatever, something of that nature. I haven't seen him in a year, so my memory is a little fuzzy. But I know he gets some sort of job opportunity to come to this guy's house and basically kind of intern or help or assist him in some kind of way. And when he gets to there, he finds out that basically he has like all this like AI intelligence that he's working on, and one of the things is this female that he has that he basically wants this new intern to basically kind of interact with. It's like an interactive female, if you will, robot, AR, artificial intelligence robot, where she can basically talk and have a conversation with you, and she kind of learns from him and that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting story, kind of a thriller in some ways as well, because there's a lot of weirdness going on behind the scenes as well. So it's not quite a horror movie, but it's definitely more of a thriller, I think, if you will. But it's a very interesting film, one that I definitely enjoy. I own it, I just haven't watched it probably since I bought it, pretty much. So I've seen it twice, but the last time I seen it was like 2015 probably, or maybe 16, which is at least 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. So one that I probably need
Time flies.
Yeah, but definitely one that I really enjoy, and had it number 10 back in 2015. So just left it there because I do generally remember really enjoying it. It is one that I remember. It's just one that I don't know all the details because I haven't seen it in so many years. But that is my number 10.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. Ex Machina, I think, maybe. I'm not too.
I always want to say machine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think it's Ex Machina, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this movie. It's going to make an appearance further up in my top 10 for sure. But yeah, it's really my kind of movie because I really like science fiction, but I kind of gravitate as much as I like Star Wars type science fiction, and I do gravitate kind of towards this kind of science fiction, which is very like, it's ambiguous and it's kind of thought provoking and it's troubling and it kind of makes you feel multiple things at once. Like, is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know what I mean? So I and it's really well written by Alex Garland, who's written a lot of really great science fiction, and really well directed, really well acted, and it's got kind of a, it's got, I'm not going to say what it is, of course, but it's got like an ending that's like really, like, it's a very Twilight Zone kind of ending. Like, that's how it should end. You know what I mean? And it's not a happy ending. I mean, it's happy in some ways and not in others. I'll put it that way.
It all depends on which side of the coin you're looking at. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I love that movie. Again,
it's got some bleakness as well. So
yeah. Like you said, it kind of depends on who you are at the end of the movie, I guess. But I, like you, I haven't seen it in a while. I saw it at the theater and I watched it once at home, but probably pretty soon after it came out. So it's definitely due a revisit for sure. I still, even though it's been several years, I still have a lot of it, like, still right here, made an impression. So yeah, excellent movie.
Cool. All right, moving on to your number 9, and I'll bring that in for you, and that is going to be Brooklyn.
Cool. Yeah, so Brooklyn is it's one of those movies that seems simple, doesn't sound all that exciting. It's kind of hard to get people pumped about it, I guess I would say, but it's a really, really good movie. It is it's a coming of age movie starring Saoirse Ronan, who made a bigger splash, I guess you would say, a couple of years later with Lady Bird, but similar kind of character in a way. Well, not really. I don't know. Lady Bird was pretty self-centered, but this character's not really, even though I love Lady Bird. But she plays a Irish immigrant who moves to Brooklyn, New York as a teenager. The only person in her family leaving Ireland to go to Brooklyn. So she has to kind of learn how to make a living and try to make it in the States, basically. And it's set in the, I don't remember, I think the 60s, set in the mid-60s. So, it's one of those movies that, like, the quality of it is in the details and in the moments. Because if you just say that, like, oh, it's just a coming of age movie, girl moves to Brooklyn from Ireland, it's maybe doesn't sound all that exciting, but it is just a really good coming of age movie. It's funny, it's sweet, it's very moving. it's got a lot of the period details right. You know, it's set in the '60s, and you know, it does that really well. So yeah, it's a hard movie to describe and really get anybody's blood flowing, but it's just a really, really, really
sold,
good
man.
movie.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Well, I know you like coming of age movies. You like coming of age movies, so I would recommend it to you. I think it's a really good movie. Acting good, directing good, writing good, just a good, solid movie. She was up for an Oscar. I'm pretty sure it was up for a few Oscars. I don't know if it won any, but it is definitely a really good movie. So yeah, Brooklyn, number 9.
Cool. Haven't seen it, obviously, so can't comment one way or another on it. But you know, another one that maybe I'll check out. And we've already alluded to this beforehand that there's a lot of movies in this bottom half that I haven't seen. So you know, but you know, it is what it is. So maybe in your top half there'll be you know, more films that I've seen, I guess. So
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'll see it and let you know how it was. So
I'm pretty sure we have the same number 1. I'll say that.
Probably should be everybody's number 1 for that year, but we'll see.
I think so too.
So,
yeah.
You know, all right. Yeah. But moving on to my number 9, and I'll bring that in, and it's going to be It Follows. So really, really good horror movie. I know it's one that you like a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it was further up your countdown. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I definitely like this one quite a bit. General story about this one, it's kind of a unique in the way that it's basically about this being, if you will, that can like basically take form of anything that you know, or basically, and I hate to really describe this one because it's basically the general sense of this one is basically it takes possession of you, and then if it catches you, it'll basically kill you. But in order to get basically the curse off of yourself so it doesn't come after you to kill you, this being that comes in, it's a slow-moving being, but it eventually will continue to follow you and stalk you, kind of like a Michael Myers, if he could like shapeshift into different people or whatever case may be to continue coming after you. The only way to basically lift the curse of it is to basically have sex with somebody, and then that curse is transferred to the person that you've just had sex with, basically. So it won't come after you, it'll come after that person. However, if it catches that person and kills that person, well, then it comes back after you again. So your best bet is that whoever you have sex with, they go out and have sex with other people, then they have sex with other people. So hopefully it never comes back to you is basically the gist of it. And like I said, it can take any form. It's slow moving, so you can see it coming, but you're the only one that can see it, basically. So all your friends wouldn't be able to see it, but it's slow moving, but it continues to keep coming after you, so you have to keep, you know, unfortunately, having sex with someone else in order to get the curse off of you, which makes for a very challenging situation if you think about it. But it's a really original horror movie. I've heard there are some people I know that don't like it, and they think of it as like an STD movie, I guess, if you will. Because you basically are transferring whatever the curse is to another person whenever you engage in, you know, sex with the other person. And it does get passed to them, but if they get killed, then it comes back to you again, basically. So best way to describe it, I think, that I can describe without going too much into detail. But overall, I definitely enjoy it. It's not for everybody. I do know some people that don't care for this film at all. I know I've actually a lot of people that don't care for this film at all, but I like it. I enjoy it. I thought it was a good film. That is my number 9, It Follows.
Yeah, I love this movie. Yeah, you're correct in assuming that it's going to appear pretty significantly higher up in the top 10 for me. Yeah, I think it's great. I think, yeah, I love it. I think it's really creepy. But it's got some humor in it. It's got a really cool soundtrack. I don't buy all that many instrumental scores, but this is one that I bought, and I still listen to it every once in a while. And it's just got a really cool style to it. It's creepy, suspenseful. And it's got kind of this, you know, it's not one of those movies that really pushes the kind of 80s style. I know that's real big right now, and I don't mind it. I love 80s stuff. So, but it it's not one of those that like really pushes that style like Stranger Things or anything like that, but it's not set in the 80s or anything, but it has kind of a 80s Wes Craven feel to me. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
got
or
kind of
even
that
like
like sub
yeah, because a lot of it deals with like
Halloween
kids and stuff like that,
even.
and yeah, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like the cinematography is very Halloween with that steady cam going down the streets, and it's even got like, this is something that always makes me think of the original Nightmare on Elm Street, is like the heroine in this movie. She lives right across the street from not her boyfriend, but a guy she likes, and he even he has got kind of a Johnny Depp look to him, but they live right across the street from each other, which is very, very Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Nightmare on Elm Street to me. So yeah, it's a really cool movie. I like it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Kier,
Yeah.
I am going to keep going, but I have to move the phone so that I can plug my phone in because it's going to die otherwise.
Got it.
Okay? Yeah, so just keep going. This is like live television, okay?
Well, I would keep going.
Figure this out.
You're up on the docket next for your next film. So.
Oh, I can do that. It's not that hard to talk about.
All right, your next film is actually going to be All Things Must Pass.
Okay. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. All right. Okay, so All Things Must Pass is... Sorry, man. I got to kind of improvise here. My phone died on me pretty quick. So All Things Must Pass is a documentary about Tower Records. And that's pretty much what it is. It's directed by Colin Hanks. And if you're a music fan, I couldn't recommend it higher. Like, it's a really entertaining documentary. If you are old enough to have ever been to a Tower Records, because they've been gone for a while now. Mm-hmm. But if you're a music fan, I recommend it. And especially if you're a fan of physical media in any way. Because I still buy CDs, I still buy DVDs, I still buy Blu-rays. I know it's going out of style. I know record stores hardly exist anymore. But it's something that I definitely miss. And if you have any kind of affinity for music in general, but especially physical media, and you haven't seen this movie, you really should, because it's really entertaining. It's really quite moving. And as a Sacramento connection, we both live in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Tower Records started here. And in fact, when I saw this movie, it's an experience I've never had before, because when I was watching the movie, I was seeing the outside of the theater that I was inside watching on the screen, if that makes any sense. I was seeing
you saw it at
the very
Tower.
Yeah, I saw it at Tower Theater, which actually has nothing to do with Tower Records, believe it or not. They were just kind of, all the businesses on this corner were called Tower. Tower Cafe, Tower Theater, Tower Records. But the very beginning of the movie, Russ Solomon, who was the guy who started Tower Records, is standing outside of the Tower Theater, introducing the movie, and I was inside the Tower Theater watching it. So it was kind of a surreal moment, but it's a really nice movie, especially if you're a music fan. So yeah, that's easily my number 8. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen this one. This is one of the 2 that I think I've seen in your bottom half. But I definitely like this one a lot. It definitely has a lot of really good, like I said, nostalgia. I'm not quite as into records or CDs as you are. I pretty much have already made the switch to everything, through Spotify or that sort of stuff. It just, I still have some CDs still, but I haven't played a CD in, I don't know, man, probably at least 5-6 years since I've played an actual CD. It's just so much easier just to do it on your phone. And I do know the argument that not everything can be found on streaming or whatever, but I usually can find it online and download it to my phone in some kind of way. So, but yeah, so it is a really good documentary, very interesting, especially like you said, if anybody's into music or just nostalgia. Same vein. I don't know you didn't like this one as much, but the last Blockbuster, that kind of stuff. Just those documentaries that show you basically something that was really big and popular at one point, but basically went out of business because people just found other ways to, technology, essentially.
Technology moved on. Yeah.
Technology,
Yep.
We can go, there's all kinds of documentaries about that kind of stuff, things that were big or huge in just technology, especially in the music and movie and that sort of stuff industry. I just feel like technology is continuously keeping to hurt certain certain areas, and I know we had conversations about, theaters in general and that kind of stuff. And, I'm not saying that they're going to be gone. I just feel like with, technology and things being able to stream and making it more convenient for people to watch movies from home, I think that avenue might be here to stay for as well for a while also. So not that it's necessarily going to ruin the movie industry, but I definitely feel like, or the theaters, I should say, but I definitely feel like, everything's moving towards convenience. With theaters, you got a little bit more of an opportunity because people enjoy going out to theaters just as they enjoy going out to dinner. Movies or records, on the other hand, CDs, on the other hand, you still got to go to the store, you still got to buy it, you still got to listen to it in your car or in your house. Whereas, now you can just listen to it on your phone through all your different, Apple devices or whatever case may Siri, whatever case may be. You have so many different avenues, Spotify, whatever you want to use to listen to your music. But it was very interesting. It is a very interesting documentary for sure. So.
Yeah, and I could do a whole show on this kind of stuff. I'm not like a complete. I'm not soul pushing that I don't also have iTunes, and I have all my music on my phone, and I take it with me everywhere I go, and but for me, important part of enjoying movies and music has always been kind of that, physical part of it. You know what I mean? That like it's something that you can actually pick up and look at. And I do get it. I get it that everything's moving into streaming and ones and zeros. And I get it for it certainly takes up a lot less space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and at the risk of sounding like an old man, though, I still kind of think there's something that's being lost when you can't like actually reach out and touch anything. It's all just kind of floating in the air. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old man.
But things, like I said, things change, things evolve. I mean, there was, records, obviously, 8-tracks, tapes, CDs. Yeah. You know what I mean? All those things kind of came and gone, and essentially, I mean, a lot of those things make a resurgence, like records make a resurgence, that kind of stuff. But I feel like, it is what it is. Technology just evolves and changes, and as things get better or worse, or however you want to describe it, because there are people, purists will still tell you that the record sound is still the best pure sound that you can listen to something on. But the convenience of just being able to go to my phone and just play any song that I pretty much want, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's some stuff that I maybe not be able to find, but it's rare, you know what I mean? I would say at least 95% of whatever I'm looking for I can find on my phone relatively easy. So that it's just something to be said about that convenience, and it's sad that that these stores have to go out of business or get shut down because of new media. But that's just life. Things evolve, things change. It's just no other way around it, unfortunately. So but great doc. So cool.
Yep.
All right, moving on. What are we on? 8, 7?
Yep.
8. I'm on 8.
Yeah, you're 8. Yeah.
So bringing in my number 8, and it is going to be Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I would say I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not a huge Trekkie fan. You know what I mean? But if they make a good movie, I'm always there, and I'm interested. So this one I thought was really, really good. I thought it was a really good resurgence of it. I didn't even see any of the ones with like Jar Jar Binks and those ones. I didn't even watch those because I just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
They didn't look good. But this one looked good to me.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, I heard that they weren't great, you know what I mean? Other than the total like just Star Wars, fanatics, you know what I mean? Like most people I talked to were like, you didn't miss a whole lot of those ones. But this series, the newer series, I thought was pretty good, and I still haven't seen all of them yet from the newer series. I still got to catch up. But this one looked really good, and I really enjoyed it. So I was glad I caught this one, and I thought it was, a fresher take to the story. I still kind of feel like, well, all of them now, they all still kind of are kind of latching onto the old story a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's also kind of the same family intertwined, you know what I mean, for the most part. But I did really enjoy the story of this one. I thought I had a really good arc to it, and it was really entertaining, and definitely one that obviously in my top 10, definitely one that I highly enjoy. So that is my number 8, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. I've always had kind of a complicated relationship with Star Wars because
Same.
I was never really, even when I was a kid, even when I was a kid at the age that I guess every kid is supposed to be obsessed with Star Wars, it was never a big thing to me. Like I was way more into like the Goonies and Gremlins and stuff like that. And I even saw Return of the Jedi on the big screen, and I remember liking it, but it was like it was just never my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoyed those first three movies, but they've never been favorites. And then the prequels, I just didn't care for at all. I saw all three of them because I see everything. Just about. And I didn't care for them very much at all, especially the first two. Didn't do anything for me really. So, but I did enjoy these last three. I really did, and I really, really enjoyed The Last Jedi. I thought The Last Jedi was the best. And I know some hardcore Star Wars fans will tell you, I know hardcore Star Wars fans that love these latest three, and I know hardcore Star Wars fans that hate with a vengeance these last three because they think J.J. Abrams ruined the series and all this stuff. And I don't see it. I think these movies are a vast improvement over the last three, the prequels. Just the way they look is so much better. They're so much more well made. And the acting is so much better.
And they're darker.
Those prequels,
they're darker as well. So I like that the darker edge to them. You know what I mean? So I don't know, those middle three seem kind of not as. They have villains, but they didn't look to me like they were like as edgy to me. So I don't know.
No, and they're green screen movies. I mean, like they're movies that like the actors that on the screen are the only thing that's real, and I can't stand that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like these movies feel like they're like on a set. You know what I mean? Where the prequels was like they're in a big green room is what it felt like. You know what I mean?
I can see
so
that.
These feel more real. The stories are engaging. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of Star Wars and the characters to know why everyone, like some hardcore Star Wars fans really. I don't either.
I don't care. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I take movies on their own merit. You know what I mean? I don't care that it follows necessarily a certain arc or whatever case may be to the story, or I just look at the movie on its own. Did you enjoy it? Do you like it? Was it a good film? And for me, it was a good film. And like I said, it's in my top 10, and I enjoy it. And I'm like you. I've never been a huge Star Wars fan. I own the first three, but I'm not like let's plop this out and watch it all the time. Or I own them, and I probably haven't bought them. I think I own them on Blu-ray now, and I haven't watched them since I've bought them on Blu-ray, you know what I mean? Just because I just haven't had a need to. Usually whenever I'm going to watch something, I watch something else. But, me and sci-fi, I'm not the hugest sci-fi person to begin with, you know what I mean? So not that I'm against it or anti-sci-fi. I'm just not huge into sci-fi as most people are. I'd rather just take a real straight hardcore action film over a sci-fi film. That's just me. But if the film's well made, I enjoy it. And I thought this one was a really, really well made film. I think I saw the second one. I thought it was decent. I haven't seen the last one, so I do need to catch that one. But I'm gonna.
It was good. That last one was good, but I thought I loved The Last Jedi, and I have friends who agree with me that think it's the best one since the original three, and I have friends that think that it ruined their lives. So, right. I don't know. To me, The Last Jedi was a kick-ass movie, and I don't really care that it ruins this person's arc or from the. I don't know. I heard all my friends out that hate The Last Jedi, and I'm still like, yeah, but it was awesome. So
at the end of the day,
whatever.
And I feel like that's with anything. It's like sacrilegious to say that anything could be even in the same ballpark as the first three, you know what I mean? Like I've heard a lot of these diehard fans, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. If that's the way you feel, then hey, it's an opinion, it's an opinion, Am I saying that this one's better than the first three? Not necessarily. Not talking about the prequels, because I haven't seen those, but the first three that came out. I'm not necessarily saying it's better than that, but I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, if you held all the first three and this one next all, which one would I rather watch? I'm probably going to watch this one. You know what I mean? Probably. Not to say I wouldn't watch the other ones, but I just enjoyed it. I just, the visuals are better. They've been able to do more with the special effects over the last few years, obviously. And I just enjoy the story. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Works for me.
All right. Moving on to number 7. So, and I'll bring that in for you, is going to be The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight. Yes, this is, of course, is a Quentin Tarantino film. Quentin Tarantino being the only... It's kind of weird because I would not call him my favorite filmmaker. He's up there, but I would not call him my favorite filmmaker, although he is the only filmmaker that I would give every single movie he made 5 stars. So I don't really know how the math on that works out, but it works in my own head. I'll just put it that way. But so basically what I'm saying is this is a 5-star movie. I absolutely love it. But it's definitely in the lower half of Tarantino's filmography for me. Probably not at the bottom. I don't know. Maybe it would be at the bottom, but that sounds like I'm being like kind of faint. No, I love this movie. I'm just trying to say it's most Tarantino films will be in the top 5. I would say of their respective years. This one's just barely missing it. I really like it. It's really good. It's like a Western. It's I saw it at the theater. I saw the Roadshow edition with you. I think, right? You were there, right?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, we had playbills and everything like that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had the entire row, if I remember right,
it was
at the theater.
The day after Christmas or Christmas Day or something of that nature. I don't remember.
The day after Christmas. Yeah. And yeah, it's a great movie. Kurt Russell's great in it. Samuel L. Jackson's great. What's his name from Justified? Walton Goggins is really great in there. Yeah, I love it. It's not in the top half of Tarantino films for me, but that doesn't mean it's not great. And I did see it twice in the theater. And it's one of those like all Tarantino movies, they age like fine wine. You enjoy them more with every viewing. That's the way I find it. Yeah. So I enjoyed it even more the second time. And I don't know if I've ever watched it at home. I think I have. But anyway, it's great. It's not quite in the top 5 for me for that year, but that's not any way to dig on it. It's awesome. And everyone who's watching this has probably seen it, so I don't need to go into detail about it. But Hateful Eight is great. So there you go.
Cool. Well, you already know Quentin Tarantino is already my favorite director. This is definitely going to be in the top half of my top 10. I think, like you, it's in the bottom half of my Tarantino films, but I also give this one 5 stars. I give all of his films. He is my favorite director, and I give all of his films 5 stars, except for Death Proof. That's the only one that I give 4.5 to. But we've had this conversation in the past. But yeah, this one's definitely it's great. It's a great film. Like I said, it's a Western, which I love. It's funny. It's long. So that there's something to be said about that. But it's got a really good twist at the end as well, which you don't necessarily, or towards the end anyways, you didn't necessarily see coming. But yeah, I thought it was great, and it kind of comes off almost like a play because a lot of it's set like in this tavern, so in this bar or tavern, I guess. So it comes across as almost like a play, but the dialogue, which with Tarantino, that's the big thing about him. I mean, you enjoy his dialogue or you don't. Most people enjoy it, but really, really good dialogue as well. But no, great choice. Feel like it's a little low on your countdown, but definitely great choice.
Hey, that just means the ones above it are really good if they made it ahead of that one. So
well, I've already brought in a couple that you said are going to be. Of it, and they're not better. So,
except they are. So yeah.
So we already know that countdown is going to be wrong. We already know you've already let the cat out the bag, man. You already let me know that your taste is terrible. No, I'm just messing with you. We'll move it on to my number 7. I'll bring that in, and that is going to be Kingsman: The Secret Service. I just love this movie. It's like one of those films that every time I watch it more and more, I get a little bit more out of it. Kind of like, I guess, the Hateful Eight, I guess, if you will. It's just so violent and funny, and just just a really, really good fun film, and it's very very R-rated, definitely in some parts. You know what I mean, in terms of the dialogue, what they talk about. And there's that scene in the church, which is one of my favorite
Oh
scenes
my
of
God.
all time, where he just goes in and he's just like basically just getting attacked by like this mob in this church, and like that's just one of my favorite scenes of almost any film. But I just love this film. I think it's great. Didn't care quite as much for the sequel. I liked it, but I didn't think it was good. This one is great. I definitely love Kingsman: The Secret Service. Just really really good, fun, action, funny film. Another one that was pretty big hit, so I don't need to like elaborate on it too much. Most people have seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you haven't. It's just a really really good, fun action comedy, if you will. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love this movie. I just showed it to my nephew actually a few weeks ago. Well, it's probably been a few months now, but it's just a really fun movie. It's not one that I was expecting too much from because, the first trailers made it look kind of, James Bondy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's
that's
like
not
British,
really
and yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
gadgets and stuff like that. It's not really, I like some James Bond movies, some spy movies, some gadget movies, but it's not really my cup of tea, really. So I was really kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. And I've seen it, geez, at least 3 times now, I would say. But it's just really funny. It's entertaining. It's got great action, and it's very R-rated, which I also wasn't expecting.
Right.
And like we've talked about before, I'm someone who really appreciates a good, the way they call it these days is a needle drop. You know what I mean? A good soundtrack use. And this has got some really great needle drops, whether it's Dire Straits in the beginning, Brian Ferry at the end, or especially the big giant massacre at the end, which is set to, of all things, Casey and the Sunshine Band. So, it's just a really fun movie, really unique and kind of off the wall movie in a lot of ways, and I like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, good choice. Didn't quite make my top 10, but it's definitely in the runner-ups.
Cool. All right, well, moving right along to our number 6 films, and I'll bring yours in real quick. Yours is Son of Saul.
Yeah. So, complete other end of the spectrum. This movie's not a whole lot of fun at all, but it is great. So it's not a very easy movie to watch. It's a Holocaust drama, which I know automatically makes a lot of people tune out because, who hasn't seen, Holocaust drama doesn't. Most people think like, I've seen Schindler's List, and that's enough. But this is a really, really good movie. It's definitely not one to watch if you're, if you want to look for a good time. But it is one of the best movies about the Holocaust I've ever seen, for sure. And it's a movie. It's got a really interesting look to it. Also, like it's not like your typical Holocaust drama, in that it focuses on the main character entirely. The entire movie, the camera is no more than a few feet from his face, and he plays one of the people who was kind of tasked with the job of. They were called the Sonderkommando, I think, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. It's in German, but they were Jewish prisoners in the Holocaust camp who were basically given the job of helping the Nazis dispose of bodies and stuff like that, like grunt work for the Nazis, in exchange for being able to live a little bit longer. And the way this movie is shot, it's never more than a few feet from his face, and you can't really see a lot of what's going on a lot of the time, but that somehow makes it even more kind of horrifying in a way. And then the story, though, because that's the setup, but the story is that he thinks he sees his son in the camp. I can't remember if he thinks he sees his son as one of the dead bodies. He thinks he sees his son as one of the dead bodies, and that kind of drives him on this quest to find out if that was actually his son that he saw. And it never really nails down the idea of whether he was right or not, or whether he was just kind of losing his mind and thought that he saw his son in there. And it's a really super intense movie. I would never call a movie about the Holocaust enjoyable, but it is very suspenseful and intense, and it really like rivets you to the screen the entire time. And like I said, the way it's shot is I've never seen a movie that looks and feels quite like this one. So it's not something I'm gonna maybe ever watch again. I don't know. But the one time I did watch it, it was pretty mind blowing. So, typically when I'm looking back at these movies and making my top 10 lists, I focus on the more entertaining stuff that that I would want to watch again. This one I don't know if I would want to watch again, but I couldn't not put it in my top 10 because it's one of those movie experiences that I will never forget. So I had to put it in there. So number 6 for me, Son of Saul.
All right. I haven't seen it, so obviously I can't comment on it. And I'm kind of in that camp of once you've seen one or two Holocaust films, I'm not really trying to go down that road too often. So can't say that I'll be rushing out to go see this one, but I'm sure it's a fine, well-acted film. But I don't know. There's just certain. I'm at a point in my life where I kind of more want to gravitate towards stuff that's more enjoyable and fun. Movies for me is an escapism. And I'm not saying I don't watch heavy stuff or I'm not interested in it, but some things I feel like if you've seen something on a certain subject, you've kind of already been there, done that kind of situation. So don't know that this would be one that I would rush out and buy or rush out and see, I should say. But you never know. We'll see. So
it's good. It's good. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on.
On that happy note.
Yeah, on that happy note, let's pick up the mood a little bit. Move on to my number 6, which is going to be Dope. So I really, really enjoy this film. It's one that I've seen at least 3 or 4 times. So it's a comedy. It's basically centered around this. Another one will actually probably a really good soundtrack. I'm not a big soundtrack guy like you are, but definitely has a lot of good music. But Dope is basically set this senior in high school, very intelligent senior in high school that it lives in basically down in Compton, I think, or Compton, LA, somewhere down in the hood part of Los Angeles, Southern California. And he's basically very intelligent on his way to try to get into Harvard and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of like gangs and things of that nature. But it's funny because it's set like in modern day, like 2015 or whatever. But they basically have taken a liking to like 90s hip hop, so like Diggable Planets and things of that nature. So they're really into like that type of music, and they even talk like that. They like Dope and slamming and fresh and all the stuff that people said back in like the mid and early to mid 90s basically. And so they're just kind of, him and his friends are kind of infatuated with that culture. And he ends up kind of sort of getting involved with like this like drug dealer, gangster guy or whatever, who invites him to like this party. They're all in high school, but this gangster guy is like much older. So they end up going to this party, and there's basically a shootout that happens, and the party gets raided, and the drug dealer guy basically inadvertently or purposely sticks basically some drugs in his bag, in this kid's bag, and basically he has to make a long story short, he basically ends up in a situation where he basically has to end up offloading these drugs basically for this drug dealer and who the drug dealer basically works for. So it's a comedy though, so it is really funny, but there are obviously some serious moments in it because they are being kind of chased and people are looking for them, and they're trying to figure out different ways that they can basically offload a bunch of drugs, you know what I mean? And these kids aren't like drug dealers, they don't get involved in that kind of stuff. So it's just a really, really funny movie. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got a lot of really, really good humor. And just one that I definitely enjoy. So that is my number 6 film of 2015, Dope.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. I've only seen it at one time. I saw it in the theater back in 2015, I'm sure. But I do remember liking it a lot. And it's really funny, really lively, great soundtrack. I like the characters a lot. I don't remember a lot of the details, but I definitely remember thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah, so it definitely could use another watch, I'm sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, well, that is it. Right at about an hour. So that is it. Those are bottom half of our top 10. We'll be back again. Obviously, if any of our shows didn't, or any of these movies or films, there was other films that you thought should have been in the countdown, well, join us next time whenever we do that show. We'll have our other, the top half of our top 10, maybe some of the films that you are hoping or looking forward to will be in that film. Will be in that series. And then we'll also do, obviously, our challenge films for 2016 that year as well. So, yeah, join us next time. As always, if you like the channel, we ask you to like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back again with another show for you guys again real soon. We thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.